Interior, abandoned throne room, night. Moonlight streams through a cracked ceiling, illuminating dust motes dancing around a grand but ruined throne. Rubble is strewn everywhere. Captain America, Steve Rogers, weary but resolute, is helping a limping Black Panther, T'Challa, his suit torn, bloody. Loki, chained and gagged but eyes burning with defiance, is being held by unseen guards just outside the frame. His muffled struggles occasionally audible.
Oh, we must keep moving, Captain. He will send more.
We will, but first, we need to understand why. Why now? Why this devastation?
You know why. He's a deceiver, Rogers. His reasons are rarely what they seem, and he thrives on chaos.
Chaos has a source, Joe. Always. And he knows something. He always does.
What was that?
You think you've won? You simple, pathetic mortals. He comes for all of it. Your worlds, your gods, and you. You stand there squabbling over scraps.
Who, Loki? Who comes?
The reckoning, and you. You have no idea what's truly coming for you.
And scene. Welcome back, Marvel fanatics, to the exhilarating third round of our quest to crown the ultimate champion of the Infinity Saga. We've journeyed through epic battles and witnessed cinematic legends fall, narrowing our colossal field of 23 films down to an elite 6. The competition is fiercer than ever, and the path to glory is becoming intensely clear. For these pivotal third round matchups, we're changing the game slightly. In round 1, our 3 hosts will take center stage, diving deep into each film. They'll meticulously weigh the pros and cons, dissecting every scene, character arc, and thematic nuance. By the end of this insightful discussion, each host will have formed their definitive opinion on which movie truly holds the edge. Then, in round 2, the tension will be electric as our 3 hosts cast their votes. The film with the majority vote will seize victory and earn its coveted spot in the Infinity Saga tournament semi-finals. The stakes are astronomically high. Every decision matters as we inch closer to the grand finale. Get ready for strategic breakdowns, passionate arguments, and the thrilling reveal of which films are worthy of advancing in the ultimate cinematic tournament. Let the debates continue. All right, so here we go. We're back with the third round. So the first match of the third round was last week. We saw a battle. We saw the number 3 movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, take down the number 4 movie, Iron Man. Classic battle, really good stuff. Really love the format. And we're about to start, the first round of the next battle, which is the Avengers versus Avengers Infinity War. But I can't start the first round. Burn, I just can't.
Maddie, I think you're going to be just fine starting the first round. All you need is just a little bit of the tale of the team.
You're damn right. All right, let's get ready for an epic showdown between 2 of the biggest team-up movies of the Infinity Saga. Here's the tale of the tape for the Avengers versus Avengers Infinity War. Here we go. So, release date, we're looking at May 4th, 2012 for the Avengers, and then April 27th, 2018 for the Avengers Infinity War. So, they got that late April, early May, of course. Then the runtimes. For Avengers, we're looking at 2 hours and 23 minutes. For Infinity War, 2 hours and 29 minutes. Then film budget. For the first Avengers or the Avengers movie, we're looking at $220 million, and then for Avengers Infinity War, we're looking at $325 to $400 million estimated. Yeah, pretty good. And then opening weekend box office gross for the Avengers, $207.4 million opening weekend box office gross. And for Infinity War, $257.7 million opening weekend box office gross. Yeah, they both did pretty good. Then worldwide box office gross. Worldwide box office gross for the Avengers, $1.519 billion. For Avengers Infinity War, $2.048 billion in worldwide box office gross. Then for the
Jesus.
directors, we have for the Avengers, it's Joss Whedon. And for the Infinity War, it was the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo. And that does it for the tale of the tape. So it makes it ready for us to move on to round one. Round one, fight! Okay, so here we go. So for round one, we're going to each give our pros and cons for each movie as to why which one's better and form an opinion before we have our vote in round two. So to kick off round one, we're going with the expert himself, the one and only Liam Leshmize Reese. Liam, let us have it.
All right, we got to start with Avengers first. Go chronological again.
You know
Right.
it, Daddy.
Stick with what works, baby.
All right. So Avengers, like what your pros, what worked with Avengers? Obviously this movie was like had like massive implications. You know, it was the first time they like kind of brought it all together. So and they nailed it. You know what I mean? Like it landed and everything. The action in it was great. It was like your, you know, classic comic, good versus bad and all that kind of good stuff. You know, for like as far as like stuff they did that like I really really liked, like Joss Whedon, you know, like say what you want about him at everything, but like he did the Hulk, he did justice by the Hulk, and a lot of times in MCU that's not what happens. Like both his movies, Avengers, this and Age of Ultron, he definitely like did right by Savage Hulk.
Yeah.
As far as you know, as far as cons, you know, like I said in previous episodes, I'm not crazy about the mind control and everything, and there was like some stuff in there that just, you know, it was like the almost like convenient writing, you know what I mean? Like Tony Stark, no gravity, like falls to Earth. But then the classic trope, like if you blow up one ship, like all the guys that are already there on the ground just like kind of die. So there was like kind of like some cheesy action stuff. But you know, other than that, like all around great movie though. It's hard to find a lot of cons in this, you know?
Yeah. Incredible one-liners all over the place. A lot of really good. And also, like, this was the first one. Everyone had talked about it. And they really, like, the acting was off the charts. This is a great movie. Then, you know, there's a reason it's ranked number 5. So, okay. Are you cool, Ben or Liam?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Benoit Payud, pros and cons, please, Daddy.
All right. Wow. So I don't want to jump on anything Liam said because he was right about all that on his pros and his cons. I tend to agree with him. So I'm going to try to go a little bit of a different direction with the pros. Incredible team ups, right? This is the team up movie. We're finally having the team up movie where everybody gets together. So from the very beginning, when they all kind of meet each other, it's a little awkward. You know, they're on the plane, the thunder bangs. What's that? It's like, it's not just thunder. To like the incredible Captain America, Tony Stark scene when they're trying to fix the outside of the helicarrier.
Yeah.
To the Thor, our prelude to Thor versus Hulk, man. Like they really got these characters together in an incredible way. They already started creating dynamics between them. They already had some team ups. Everybody kind of worked with each other. But I think when you look at some of the more important relationships coming later on, like, you know, Winter Soldier doesn't exist if Tony and Steve don't have a real relationship. You know, Ragnarok doesn't exist unless Thor and Hulk have a real relationship. So my first shout out, and even on a small level, like you learn more about Hawkeye and Black Widow in this movie than you do about any time they've showed up previously. They have a little bit of personality to them. So really good job. My first pro is the team ups. inside the larger group, I think they did an incredible job, and it all ended up kind of paying dividends later on. My second pro is the greatest line in the entire MCU, where Steve says to Tony, like, "Yeah, what are you without a suit?" He goes, "I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist." That's the best line in all of Marvel. It is the greatest line delivered. It's a perfect encapsulation of Iron Man and a perfect
Yep.
encapsulation of who he thinks he is and who he believes he is. And Downey absolutely crushes it. So we got great team ups. We got great lines. And I'm going to throw a weird third one out. And I don't know if you guys watched any of the TV that fell along after that or whatever, but Coulson, man. I really like Coulson. Coulson was a really good Shield guy. He was in the mix before that. He was on a, I won't say ill-fated show afterwards, because Agents of Shield was supposed to be like a continuation show for the MCU, and then about season 3 they decided, like, no, we're going to non-canon it, and so
Mm-hmm.
it got weird. But man, Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, I love me some Coulson. I'm sad to see Coulson go, and those are my 3 big pros, to not step on any limbs.
Yeah.
Uh, my cons, I think you're right, Liam. There's a little cheesiness to it. Like, they winked at the camera just a little too much. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
one time too many. You know, we're cool with like 1 or 2 little references, and we get the greatest wink, which is the I'm always mad, and that leads to an incredible action scene. But I think you're right. I think it was a little cheesy. The shawarma thing was a little cheesy. There were some real super cheese bag moments in that
Yeah.
first Avengers team up. Another con, costumes got way better. So I don't know if it's
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like it's necessarily a con. That was their first shot at them. Like, Hawkeye ended up looking way better. Black Widow looked way better. Captain America looked way better. Everybody looked way better. But when
Yeah.
going back and watching again, you're like, oh man, these are by far the worst costumes that every single one of these characters.
It's America's ass.
He had to go back and get his old bullshit. Like, I mean, that came later on. But what I'm saying is these are the worst costumes that any of the characters are going to wear the entire time. But yeah, that's all I got. Wink to the camera a little bit and bad costumes. Those are my only cons for Avengers.
Yeah. All right. Very good, Burn. So, okay, here we go. Here's my pros and cons. So, going over pros, you guys touched on it. The blueprint. This film successfully pulled off the seemingly impossible task of bringing together, disparate heroes from different franchises into one cohesive, exciting story. And it set the standard, really set the standard for how all the Avengers team ups will go throughout the cinematic universe, right? And then they did have some excellent character introductions and dynamics. For many, this was the first time seeing these heroes truly interact, too. You know what I mean? And Josh Whedon's script nailed the character voices and created memorable banter, which we talk about all the time, i.e., what Byrne talked about with billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, you know what I mean? And then also a compelling villain, again,
Yeah.
Hiddleston crushed as Loki. Absolutely a highlight. He was
No
witty,
question.
manipulative, and he was clear personal connection to Thor, giving the conflict emotional stakes. But then also, like, you loved seeing him get his comeuppance at the end. That's the sign of a great heel, right? You love seeing them you pay to see him get beat. That's how you know, right? Like, you pay to see him lose. And then the action sequences are iconic, dude. Like the battle in New York, you know what I mean? The fight on the hangar jet or whatever. Like awesome,
Mm-hmm.
awesome stuff. But then a couple cons, right? Like you're saying, Liam, relatively simple plot. Compared to later MCU films, the plot is fairly straightforward. Stop an alien invasion. While effective, it lacks like the intricate layers of future installments. And like you're saying, the mind control. It just wasn't there. Then there was some pacing issues in the first half. The initial setup and character regrouping can feel a little slow before the action really kicks in. And then you can say too, like they underutilized some minor characters, and I think they tried to make up for that in later Avengers movies. Like, for instance, Hawkeye in this one he was really sidelined the whole movie, except for
Mm-hmm.
even at the end. So that's why I think they tried to make up for that when Age of Ultron came around, and they gave him more of a spotlight, right? And then also like for the time when it came out, it was great, but the CGI is showing, you know. So like if you look at the Chitauri, right, like the CGI is a little dated, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
great. But that's like you knew that would happen though. But that is a con. So, but that's basically what I got for pros and cons for the Avengers. Are you guys good?
Love
Good.
it, man. I think we covered it.
Crushed it, nailed it, crushed it, smacked it. Dicks on, nuts on chin. Either way. Okay, so let's move on to some pros and cons for Infinity War. Lashmoosh, going back to you, Daddy.
Uh, Infinity War, like pros is like this was, but I remember when it came out, like just like the ultimate fan service film. You know what I mean? Like where you're with the Asgardians, you get this like really like dialogue from like Thanos and stuff. There's like just they're just giving you like what you want, like one after another after another after another. You know what I mean? You're in space, then you're in New York with the Avengers. Then you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's so good. And uh along with that, like the story, like so when I was saying like it's just one after another, same thing. Like the pacing in Infinity War is awesome. There's like
yeah,
really, but you say this like never a dull moment. There's really never a dull moment in that movie. Really, you never really like feel like are they gonna do something? Like there's
yeah,
always you're in, you're hooked. Um, and just it's one of my all-time favorites. Like the fight scenes are awesome, the action's awesome. I think you get to see, honestly, you get to see like Thor, other than maybe at the end of Ragnarok, you're seeing Thor like at his absolute best when he comes down after getting Stormbreaker, and he comes down when they're
yeah,
they're fighting in
yeah,
Wakanda. That's like, to me, like as good as you can get from Thor.
yeah.
Um, cons, like I said, I said Whedon did Hulk right, and as much as I love Infinity
Yeah,
War and like
yeah,
Endgame and everything, I am never gonna forgive like Feige and the MCU for like how they did Hulk. You know what I mean? It just, that's one that I just can't really get over. Like Hulk's your
yeah.
strongest Avenger,
Uh,
one of the originals, and they, you know, they nerfed him totally. He's in
uh,
a Hulk Buster suit, dude. That's super lame. But
yeah.
the rest of the
And
movie, nah, go ahead.
yeah, I was saying he got fucked up by Thanos right off the jump.
Yeah, like not even it like wasn't even close, and he's like the
Yeah,
the strongest Avenger by far, and just
yeah.
I don't know, not to harp on that too much, but um, yeah, I don't have a lot negative to say about that. It is to
It's
me like this,
yeah.
like Infinity War is like the cream of the crop.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
that's
So
that's what
good.
I got for Infinity War.
Awesome. Good stuff. Benoit Payud Kase, what do you got, Daddy?
All right. So pros for Infinity War, man, there's a lot. And Liam covered a lot of them. That opening scene is such an absolute
Oh,
tone
oh,
setter. It's such a tone setter. We get, by the way, director of Thor, Kenneth Branagh, is the one who's doing the voice on the ship of being like, "We are peaceful. Leave us alone. We're just Asgardian
oh.
refugees.
Mm-hmm.
We mean you no harm." Thanos shows up there, immediately kills half the ship, as is his kind of his jam. We get that incredible scene. We get the Thor fight. We get the Loki death. We get the Hulk being beaten back into Bruce Banner. I mean, what an absolute
Yeah.
tone setter for a
Awesome.
movie that's going to be
Awesome.
super important moving through. And from that point forward, it was like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. Like, I just watched the Hulk, and as Liam said, and this is going to be a con for all the MCU, the continue nerfing the Hulk. At that point, Liam, I believed they weren't going to do it. I thought, like, here's where we see the Hulk. Now we know that they were nerfing the Hulk the whole time. But at that point, I was like, here we go. Hulk should handle this. And he got mollywopped, son. And that left my jaw a little bit on the floor. And I was like, okay, we're doing something really different here. And we're going to have a movie that's going to have a lot of, there's going to be a lot of prices to pay in this movie.
Had to be done, though. You had to sacrifice someone to get Thanos over as a heel, and they did.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's pretty fair. My second huge pro in this.
Well, I'm saying, like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you have to make, Thanos
He's got to beat someone legit in order to be legit.
Otherwise, just like, okay, fucking anyone's, but like, for him to knock off Thor right away and kill Loki right off the jump, they're setting the tone as like, not to be fucked with. This guy's legit. Everyone needs to fucking nut up right now. You know?
Tooled the Hulk, man. He tooled the Hulk. Like, that's not
like the fact that the Moss said let him have his fun. You know, like, what are we doing? You know,
that whole scene is just great one-liner after great one-liner. But so my first pro opening scene of that movie
killed it.
As good as any opening scene in an MCU movie.
Yes.
My second big pro for this is Infinity Stones in action, man. We've been hearing about them. We've been chasing them around. We've been looking for them. We got to see a little bit of Power Stone in Guardians of the Galaxy. We got to see a little bit of Reality Stone in Thor 2, which people don't really remember. We got to see Time Stone, Doctor. We see the stones in action in this movie, and we see exactly what each one of them does and what wielding the power of them can really do. I made a little list here. Here's how Thanos had to get the stones in Infinity War. All right, you ready? Space Stone, kill Loki. Mind Stone, kill Vision. Time Stone, bargain with Strange. Soul Stone, kill Gamora. Power Stone, kill the entire planet of Xandar. And Reality Stone, he stole it from the Collector on Nowhere.
Killed him.
Killed the Collector. So he murdered someone in one case. I mean, I guess Strange got away, but he did kill the entire planet of Xandar. So let's call it even a murder per stone. But we actually got to see what they did. And the way they did the special effects of that is when you could see off his glove when he was using the purple or using the red or using the green. God,
that was definitely cool.
Man.
That was definitely cool.
So cool. So necessary. Like, he's powerful, but he's actually controlling these. When he turns the Guardian, when he turns Drax and Mantis into little, slinkies, like that shit is wild. So the actual application of the Power Stones is my number 2. And I think my number 3 is maybe, I don't know what I said, the greatest quote last time. So I'm going to say the second greatest quote in the MCU. I don't want to go. Mr. Stark.
Oh.
I don't want to go.
I don't feel so good.
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go.
Oh, not a dry eye in the house.
Not a dry eye.
Get the galoshes out, baby. It was a flood.
We've known Tom Holland's Peter Parker for like 11 months, and it was waterworks. So good. So I'm going to throw those 3 out as my pros. My cons, we didn't get to see Thanos actually take a lot of these stones. We didn't get to see him destroy Xandar. We didn't get to see him.
Well,
I guess we saw a little.
But isn't the destruction of Xandar a post-credits scene?
No, he just shows up at the beginning of this with 2 stones. He has the he destroyed Xandar with the Power Stone, and he destroyed the Collectors with the Reality Stone. We don't actually get to see those happen. And
isn't there a post-credit scene with him and Xandar?
No.
And Burns right. That's actually like a huge missed opportunity for Xandar to be destroyed and then to just not be mentioned at all after that. And you're just thinking like, hey, maybe we're gonna get like some Nova action, and dude, nothing. You're right, nothing.
And they were so awesome in the first Guardians too.
Yeah, and they were clearly not a bunch of fucking shit dicks, which is why you want to see how did this guy like. Okay, sure, they had to build some new ships after Ronin, but like this was a military planet that was pretty good at their shit. The Guardians
Yeah.
gave them the Power Stone. They're like, this is the safest place we could possibly put it. And
Yeah.
by the time we meet Thanos, it's gone. And then I would have liked to have seen him take Xandar and take the Collector just to see the full collection of the stones. And then my other con for this movie is Vision is dumb, and Vision is not supposed to be dumb. Vision is
Yeah.
fucking dumb. Vision, stay inside. They are working on you. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be better. And when everything gets fixed, you might be. Don't pop out into the jungle, dog. That's what they want you to do. That's the whole
Yeesh.
point of it. Vision,
Yeesh, McGeesh.
you are a super smart robot. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Vision, that was too dumb. I understand that the heart wants what the heart wants, but the Vision would never be that dumb. Could be that dumb.
Well,
Not possible.
it's more Wanda's fault. She was supposed to be guarding him and then left to go to the
No,
battle.
the Vision knows that. He's already done the calculations. Dumb Vision. Vision's pretty dumb in Infinity
So
War.
you're saying he should have had someone else watching him that wouldn't have gone out to the battle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
There should
Not
have
wrong.
been. I mean,
Should have had Hawkeye there.
he would have known that she is compromised. You know what I mean?
Right.
By her
Right.
feelings.
Right.
It would have been a more secure situation. It would have been right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Vision, little dumb. Just a little bit of a dumb Vision.
A little dumb.
That's all I got. Those are my cons. I think it's a pretty excellent movie.
I mean, it's some good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, I tell you, I can't disagree with a lot. I'll tell you this. First thing off of pros for me, pros for Avengers Infinity War, which came out in 2018. First pro, Thanos is a masterpiece villain, right? Like, Josh Brolin's Thanos is arguably the best villain in the MCU. He's complex, nuanced, and genuinely believes in his cause, making him terrifying and even empathetic at times. His victory is shocking and impactful. If you talk about great lines, when him and Zoe Saldana are arguing and she says, "You don't know that." And he says, "I'm the only one that knows that." Right? Like, that's a man who is like belief and conviction. Like, he is a man on a mission because he really believes what he's doing is for the betterment of the universe. Right? And then
100%.
unprecedented scope and scale. Bringing together virtually every major character from the MCU and juggling multiple storylines across various planets and is an astounding cinematic achievement, right? Like, I remember talking about to someone with this, like, dude, how do they get all these characters together without it seeming like mumbo jumbo? They're like, they nailed it perfectly. Nailed it perfectly. And the right people met the right people, and it was awesome. And then another pro, high stakes and emotional impact. The film doesn't shy away from consequences, leading to devastating losses and a truly bleak ending that subverted audiences' expectations. The sense of dread and urgency was palpable, right? Like, this thing is it's your Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean? It's everything you want. Like, they lost, right? Like, they fucking lost, and they lost hard, and now it's the true comeback. How can they unsurmountable odds, overcoming unsurmountable, like, this is what everything's about. And then fantastic team up interactions, seeing different characters from different corners of the MCU, the Thor and the Guardians, Iron Man and Strange interact for the first time is a constant source of delight and fresh dynamics. And then the pacing. Oh, the pacing is relentless. The film moves at a breakneck pace, constantly shifting between characters' groups and thrilling action sequences, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats the entire time. One great way I heard they describe this is that you watch this in the fight position the whole time because shit was fucking jumping. And then the visuals and the action. I mean, the set pieces are grander and more intricate, showcasing the full might of the heroes and the villains. It was awesome, right? But there are some cons, with there being so many different, like, such a huge cast, there is some character screen time limitations, and there has to be, right? With such a massive cast, inevitably some characters get less screen time than others. While the film manages to it remarkably well, some fan favorites might feel underutilized, which is true. But that's what you kind of know that going in. But it is still some types of con. But I think that they made the lines that much more memorable because they only got a couple of them, right? And then also a con that I think not many people are thinking about is that you got to have a lot of assumed prior knowledge, right, to fully appreciate Infinity War. Like you have to have seen all the 18 movies that came out before this. It's pretty essential. You can't just be someone showing up and being like, oh, what's okay, so why is this man, you know what I mean? So you did need a lot of time on screen, which we all enjoy. I didn't care, you know. And then there was some minor plot conveniences, like you're saying, with him showing up with the two stones right away, and then with so many moving parts, there are a few instances where plot points or characters' decisions feel a bit contrived to keep the story like moving forward, i.e., the stuff you're saying with Vision. So, but either way, in essence, I mean, it's a like they're both, Avengers Infinity War is a groundbreaking movie. It was absolutely incredible. And they just raised the bar again, again, and again for these Avengers team ups. So that's what I got for pros and cons for Avengers Infinity War. You guys good?
Hell's
Good,
bells,
man.
baby.
Nice. Love it. All right. Well, that does it for round one. We're going to head on to round two. Round two. Fight. All right. Round two. We're each going to cast a vote, and the winner moves on to the next round, the semifinals of the first ever Marvel Infinity Saga tournament. They'll be, I mean, waiting for them already there is Guardians of the Galaxy. So whoever ends up going, you're gonna have to fucking nut up or shut up, daddy, because the fucking heat is coming.
Get your lunch pad. Put your boots on. Get your lunch
Get your
pail.
fucking
That's
boots
right.
strapped. So okay, so I'll cast my vote third, but Liam, why don't you start off?
I think it's not even a question. Infinity War, hands down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Burn, your thoughts, daddy.
Uh, both these movies were super important and super fun. But if I just look at the final fight scene from the fun Cap Black Panther like sprint to see him to punch the alien first, to Thor showing up with that ridiculous lightning strike,
Oh,
to Groot fading away, the final battle of Infinity War takes me through every emotion I possibly have. I
yeah,
also am going to have to place my vote for Infinity War.
yeah. Dude, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers. Fucking great,
So good.
right?
So
So
good.
good. So I'll tell you this, guys. Look, the Avengers, the first one, groundbreaking, no doubt. It successfully brought all heroes together for the first time, and that's huge. But Infinity War is a real masterpiece. It took that concept and elevated it to an impossible level. We're talking about juggling dozens of beloved characters across multiple planets, all with a single compelling villain in Thanos who actually wins. Infinity War isn't just about good guys punching bad guys. It's about sacrifice, impossible choices, and the devastating consequences of failure. It subverted every expectation, delivered truly shocking emotional beats, and pushed the MCU into uncharted territory. It's darker, more mature, and ultimately more impactful cinematic achievement that showed how far superhero storytelling is willing to go. So for me, it's Infinity War. Clean sweep. Infinity War across the board.
Right
So I
choice.
guess so I guess that does it. Moving on to the semifinals. The number 2 ranked Infinity War topples the number 5 ranked Avengers. I mean,
Boom.
I think we all saw this coming. It wasn't as close as last week's. Last week's was fucking close. Close. But yeah, so
But
moving
but
on.
next week's is going to be a game changer
Next
because
week is a game
we
changer.
don't know what the semifinal matchups are going to be. Right? We have Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the 6th seed, coming up against Avengers Endgame, the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, we could end up with Endgame versus Infinity War and Guardians versus Winter Soldier. We could end up. I mean, and I feel like any combination is possible.
Yeah.
Coming up. I'm very excited. Very excited.
Super excited.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just, God, next week is going to be tough. Next week is going to be really tough because I love Endgame, but Winter Soldier is a fucking masterpiece. It is a masterpiece.
They're both monster movies. You know, they're
both Russo movies.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been saying it from the beginning. Underseeded, criminally at 6, criminally underseeded, underseeded.
I mean, think of this too. I mean, there's 4 right now. There's 4 movies left, right? Mm-hmm. 3 of the 4 were directed by the Russo brothers. What does that tell you?
It tells you why they're paying them fucking $300 million to do the next 2 Avengers movies. It tells you that.
Yeah, because it was magic when they were there last time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're banking on that happening again.
Let's hope, because they need them.
I'm banking on it too. Yeah, they get it. Like those guys so far, they get it. If there could be a great movie made with the stuff they have put out recently, I think the Russo brothers can make that movie.
Yeah, because Russo brothers. Let's get it done. Because what are they doing? You brought up Xandar. We never got Richard Rider Nova at all.
Nope.
We're doing Marvel Zombies. There was a Werewolf by Night, which wasn't bad, but just the characters we got, like Miss Marvel, Ironheart. They're gonna do Wonder Man. All of that before Marvel Zombies, before you get Nova. What is up with that, dude?
Doesn't make much sense.
That is insane. That is insane.
Right. Especially when you consider there's been 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So, if anything was ever going to be Nova adjacent, it would be one of those movies. And we still haven't got it.
Insanity, dude.
Wow.
All right. Very nice. So,
I'll get off my soapbox, Matt. Sorry.
Shut up, Matt.
No.
Shut up, Matt.
I love it. But speaking of loving it, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast presents Ask AI. I'm Matt Lavelle. He's Burton Podcast. That's Liam Reese. And in case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You know us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe. We'll keep bringing you this incredible content. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. See you.